Hi there, the weather's finally turned good enough for me to get back on the Mini, and what I'm hoping to do today is swap out my front seats for a set of Sparco R100s. Now this should be a really simple job. Should just need this to kind of take the seats off. I've got some resistors to replace the airbag sensors so that doesn't go off. I'm going to keep using the original seats from here, seatbelt, sorry, for the time being, until I get my harness situation set up. So I have to move across the seatbelt clip point into their Sparcos. I've got a little clip showing how I assembled them and how they came. A couple of things about the Sparco R100s. They're a folding seat because I don't need a fixed rigid seat. I'm not doing any racing, it's just more about being held in nicely. When I bought the Sparcos, I ordered them and they came quite quickly with all the mounting brackets and all that, and so I've got a video showing how that connects up, which I'll insert about here. Okay, I'm in my kitchen, which is the only space I've got big enough to unpack this box. This is the R100 Sparco seat with sliding rails. It's going in the Mini. Now this is the driver's side, and I'll point out why it's driver's side in a second. But you can buy this as a complete kit, which is what I've done. The seat comes pre-assembled. All I've got to do is put the sliding rails on and the actual rails. Now the reason I'm recording this section is because there's no instructions in the manual, so you've got to figure it out yourself. And there are a couple of things that are missing. Now the seat bolts, nicely all secured, they all come with the actual kit and they come as part of the seat. Sliding rail section comes in three sections. You have this bar, which is the adjuster bar, the actual sliders, left and right. That's one piece of kit that you buy, and then there's the actual seat brackets that mount for the R50 specifically, that do come with bolts for here to the Mini, but not for the rail to the seat. Now I think if you were to put this directly onto the seat base without slider rails, it doesn't seem to fit. But so you'll need some form of adapter rail or to drill holes in there, which might sit you a little bit lower. What it doesn't come with though is these bolts here to adapt the seat base or the mounting plate to the rail. Lucky enough I had those. What it does come with though is this sandwich plate here, which you sandwich between the seat and the runner, and it's secured there and there with these through bolts, which allows you to mount the original seat belt clip point in, which is what I've done on this one. And you can see here this is the passenger side one where this mounts on the other side, so they are sided, so that's important to remember. Other than that, these seats are now assembled and ready to get fitted into the car. The only issue I discovered is that one seat has the auto lift feature, a spring to push the seat back up, and the other seat doesn't. I spoke to the guy who sold me the seats, the store, and they checked their stock. And apparently all of their seats have you have to manually lift it up and backwards and forwards. There's no auto spring back. And he claims it's a newer feature. So if anyone's got any experience in Sparco R100's reclining seats, let me know if that's a standard thing. In the meantime, I'm going to get started on removing this. Now the first thing I have to do is disconnect the battery so I don't accidentally set off the airbag in this seat when I'm taking it out. Once I've done that, I'm going to come in and remove these two front bolts, slide the seat forwards, fold the seat down a bit, get the two back bolts, and then we'll be able to see underneath. So let's get that started. Now that is all four of them out. What I'm hoping to do is I can just now kind of lever the seat up a bit and see where the cabling is underneath. Right, so you can see the main cable here connects up underneath, so it should just be a case of disconnecting that and I can give all this a good clean. That can come out of the way, and then I've just got to figure out which one is seat belt and which one is airbag. Now I should be able to lift the whole seat out. So you can now see the mounting bolts for the seat pan. You can see where the cabling for all that goes. Now the next job is to try and get get this mounting bracket off, which is what I'm going to do next. So what we're looking to do now is remove this here, which is the seatbelt pre-tensioner apparently. Now I think I have to actually reuse this bolt. So that pips off there. And now I have to disconnect this cabling. Alright, so that's unscrewed. This blue is the seatbelt pre-tensioner cable, so it knows when your seatbelt's connected, so I can wire that back up. This all needs a bit of a clean. It was an absolute pain to get this out through this little hole, but we got there. Now this means all of this can get taken off to one side, and I can put this on the new seat. Now what you see is with the kit I bought, it actually includes this little seatbelt mounting clip if you're not using a harness. And hopefully it's supposed to just bolt straight on, which isn't going particularly well. So that's bolted on. There we go. There we are. So now just that. Throw it in there. There she goes. It's connected. So all I've got to do now is get this into the car, bolt in those points, and we are good. So let's give that a go. Now, to disable any warning lights on the dash, I actually picked up this kit off eBay from this guy. Now what this does is this is a special resistor and fuse setup so that it can plug into these pins here, or you can wire them in directly. That will disable the warning light for not having an airbag connected if you don't choose to code it out. Now I'm looking at getting ISTA and all that set up, so eventually I will code it out, but for now I've got these in place. So as I understand it, all I've got to do is pull this off. And I can either solder it in line, or the recommended approach is to fold the pin over like so. He says, really badly doing it with his hand. We should have brought some pliers. Should be able to just literally poke it straight in too. So I'm making a more of a point. Maybe they don't need to be folded down, but that's what I read on the internet. I'm struggling to get them in if they're folded. Alright, let's try unfolding them. Right, that's that connector sorted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave them out front. That way I can fiddle about with this once everything's connected. If I have to keep re-clearing codes, I'll try and get a good connection and figure out the best way of connecting, but we'll see how this kit goes for us. Next up, let's get the seat in. That looks to all roughly be in place. So I'm hoping to do now, get these bolts in somehow. Now it was a bit of a faff getting these bolts in, so what I had to do on this one was, because the alignment of this hole was just a little bit off, I had to drill out and egg out this little hole in the runner to make all this fit, and that now fits. The other thing is I wasn't happy with the way these pins were sitting in this socket. So what I've done is I took the socket off of the old seat, heat shrunk on, and there was just a little bit of metal visible, so I just put a bit of tape around that, and then this way I can just put the actual socket on itself and tuck this all nicely out the way underneath the seat. But that is the seat in. As you can see, it fits bang on just there, maybe a little bit of rubbish. Seatbelt mount is in place, and I can use the original seatbelt so that I'm good for now until I get my harness and my rear seat release set up. So that's the first one, quite pleased. Now time to do the other side. Seats are all in. I have put both sides on, reconnected the battery, I'm in neutral. Now it's time to see, do we have an airbag light on the dash? We do not. Let me bring you around and show you. So there we go. As you can see, no airbag lights, nothing there. Let's make sure the car still starts. car started. I've got my boot open, so that's why that boot light is on, and I've still got the handbrake up obviously, and the traction control light is from an error I'm already dealing with, so I'll get to that next. So, a couple of things. First of all, head clearance. I'm bang on. Now, I do have the seat base and the runner in place. Now, that does mean that me at exactly 6 foot, literally just enough clearance on my head. So if you're any taller than me, especially in the body, I wouldn't go for the seat base and the runners with the adjuster. I would just go for a plate, because that will drop you down an extra inch. Comfort wise, they are a bit firm. I actually like a firmer seat. My wife is complaining about it. Also, the runners don't have as much free movement forwards and back as the standard Mini. Now, my wife's a bit shorter than I am, so she struggles to get forwards. I've actually sat her in the car, and she's concerned that she can't drive it because the clutch foot goes all the way to the floor. So we'll have a look at that, and we'll see if that's just because I haven't connected up or adjusted anything correctly in the seat runners. Securing them is not too much of an issue. That went relatively easily. Bit of a faff, because on this side, and I'll get out to show you this, you'll see this one here, I had to egg out the hole slightly to make that fit. However, that all now fits in place. The other thing is, there's a bit of tightness here, which can make adjusting the seat, sorry, a bit of tightness just here, which can make adjusting the seat a bit awkward, as well as a bit of tightness on the seatbelt side here, up against the centre tunnel. It's probably more visible on that side. So you can see where the seatbelt clip mount is. It's pretty much in contact with the carpet. That may give over time. Overall, I'm quite pleased. Don't know if I'd buy these seats again. The Sparco R100's folding, because of the issues with the folding sections not springing back like I mentioned. For me, it's not a huge deal, but it's very irritating. And so for that, if you're buying any of these seats, do make sure that they have the spring back mechanism and they're not offloading older stock onto you. It's taken me about 2 hours to fit. That is with recording. I think if you knew what you were doing, or not recording anything, it'll be a lot quicker. You'll notice I didn't record the second seat, and that took a fraction of the time. Other than that, I've got a little clip, or a little picture here of how I did the harness for the, not the harness, the connector for the airbag warning. And so the airbag doesn't give a warning light, sorry, the connector for the airbag for the seat. And what I can do is use the pins into the airbag seat socket so that that worked and didn't put a light on the dash. I decided it was just too flimsy, and with a bit of car movement it could come out. So what I did is I snipped off the old plugs with a bit of tail on them from the old seats, and I soldered using a heat shrink soldering thing that came with the kit I bought onto those plugs so that it can just plug in nice and easily. It does mean the old seats are a bit useless, and they're welcome to anyone. I'll put them on the groups and see if anyone wants them for free. But that means I've got a nicer connection, and as you saw, didn't have any airbag lights go off, so that's quite a nice win. I think overall, I'm quite pleased. I'd like to drive it a bit more aggressively, see how the seats bed in after some time, bit of give, and I am concerned that my wife now can't drive the car, because she might not be able to get forwards enough, but I'm going to see what we can do about that. Alright, that's it for now. I've still got my traction control lights to sort out, which I'm hoping to do the next time I get some good dry spell, because it means taking out a lot of the dash to get to the steering column. Because I think it's the steering angle sensor. But for now, these are the seats installed, the Sparco R100's folding. I like them. I think they work quite nicely for my purposes. I just wouldn't recommend the supplier I got them from, but the bases and everything comes out and works a treat. Later on, I'm hoping to put some harnesses in. I've just got to figure out some way of good mounting a harness on the seatbelt side here. So once I've figured that out, we should be in a good place. Alright, thanks very much.